Have you ever felt completely and utterly stuck, like you're just treading water in a sea of monotony, with every day blurring into the next? You see the bills piling up, the clutter taking over your space, your dreams gathering dust on a shelf. You look in the mirror and barely recognize the person staring back, wondering, is this it? Is this all my life is going to be? That was my reality. My apartment was a mess, a physical representation of the chaos in my mind. Every envelope in the mail felt like another punch to the gut. I was drowning in despair, convinced that I was destined for a life of quiet frustration. But what if I told you that the key to escaping that prison wasn't some grand life-altering event, but something so small, so seemingly insignificant, that most people would laugh at it? What if the first step to changing everything was just 10 minutes? At my absolute lowest point, buried under a mountain of self-pity and inaction, I made a decision. It wasn't born from a sudden burst of inspiration. It was an act of quiet desperation. I picked up my phone and set my alarm for just 10 minutes earlier than usual. The next morning, when that alarm went off, my first instinct was to hit snooze. My body screamed for those extra 10 minutes of sleep, but I forced myself up. And what did I do with that precious extra time? Absolutely nothing. I just sat on the edge of my bed, staring into the dim morning light, the silence of the apartment amplifying the emptiness I felt inside. The first few days were exactly the same. 10 minutes of sitting, 10 minutes of feeling pointless, 10 minutes of wondering why I was even bothering. It felt like a joke. How could this possibly make a difference? The weight of my problems was immense, and here I was, just sitting. It was a struggle. Every fiber of my being wanted to crawl back into bed and escape back into unconsciousness. But for some reason, I kept doing it. I kept setting that alarm. Then one morning, something shifted. It wasn't a lightning bolt moment, just a quiet little thought. As I sat there, I glanced at my unmade bed, a tangled mess of sheets and blankets, and I thought, well, I'm already up. So I stood up and made my bed. It took maybe 2 minutes, but when I was done, and I looked at that one small corner of order amidst the chaos of my room, I felt a flicker of something. It wasn't pride, not yet. It was just a tiny bit better. That small act became my new 10-minute ritual. Wake up, sit, make the bed. A few days later, my eyes landed on a book I had bought months ago but never opened. The next morning, after making my bed, I picked it up and read a single page, just one. The day after, another page. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, those 10 minutes started to fill up. Making the bed led to reading a page. Reading a page sparked an idea, so I started keeping a notebook by my bed and began journaling. Just dumping whatever thoughts were swirling in my head onto the paper. It was a release valve. Journaling helped me see my anxieties more clearly, which led me to use a few of those minutes to plan my day. Not a rigid, stressful schedule, but just 3 simple things I wanted to accomplish. As the weeks turned into months, those 10 minutes became the most important part of my day. They were mine, untouched by the demands of work or the weight of my problems. I eventually added in some light stretching, then a few push-ups. Each new habit was a small victory. A little brick I was laying for a new foundation. I was building momentum, one tiny 10-minute block at a time. The rest of my day might be a challenge, but I started it with a win. I started it with intention, and that changed everything. Now, let's fast forward. Not a few weeks, but a few years. The person you see now is not the same person who sat on the edge of that messy bed, lost in a fog of despair. This apartment is clean, it's organized, it's a space that feels calm and inspiring. That look of hopelessness has been replaced by a quiet confidence, and it all started with 10 minutes. The discipline I cultivated in those early morning moments, the consistency of making my bed, reading a page, planning my day didn't just stay in that 10-minute window. It began to bleed into the rest of my life. The single page of a book turned into hundreds of books read, filling my mind with new knowledge and perspectives. The journaling turned into a deep understanding of myself, my goals, and my fears. The daily planning turned into effective long-term strategy. That strategy, fueled by knowledge and self-awareness, is what allowed me to leave that dead-end job and launch my own business. Something I had only dreamed of in the vaguest terms before. And that light exercise, it built a foundation of physical and mental resilience that eventually carried me across the finish line of my first marathon. A feat my old self would have considered utterly impossible. It wasn't one single action that got me here. It was the compound effect of thousands of small, consistent actions. It was the power of showing up for myself day after day for just 10 minutes. So as I stand here today, I want to leave you with this thought. We often overestimate what we can do in a day, but we drastically underestimate what we can accomplish over a year, or 5, or 10, through the power of small, consistent habits. My journey didn't begin with a leap of faith. It began with a single, tiny step. It began with the humble decision to claim just 10 minutes of the day for myself. The biggest, most profound changes in your life won't come from a lottery win or a sudden miracle. They will come from the promises you keep to yourself, especially the small ones. They are born in the quiet, unglamorous moments of discipline when no one is watching. It's about building a better you, one brick at a time. It's an ongoing commitment, a daily practice of growth. The journey never truly ends, and it all starts with that one small decision. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more on building a better life, one small habit at a time.